So back in the early 1990s when Mark Johnson founded Foster Parrots, the plan was to rescue birds and rehome them. How hard could that be? It ended up being hard. It wasn't easy to rehome birds, and the birds that we were receiving, it became clear that parrots were not doing well in captivity. Widely accepted standards of care for parrots kept as pets were really poor. They did not meet the physical, social, or psychological needs of birds, and these resulted in spiraling, maladjusted behaviors. Cages were too small, and there was too much cage dependency. Nutrition was poor. Most parrots were subsisting on seed-only diets, which are low in nutrition, high in fat. Improper weaning in the commercial market led to all kinds of problems with psychological problems in young parrots. And you know, a lot of parrots were kept in situations of social isolation. They were sitting at home alone, waiting for something to happen, waiting for people to come home. None of this worked for parrots. Consequently, while we thought we could adopt out all these birds, we were receiving parrots who were not desirable adoption candidates. We were getting chronic pluckers and mutilators. We were getting parrots who were desperately needy and phobic. Aggression was a huge issue, especially in hand-raised birds. Maladjusted behaviors were compounded by the fact that parrots were being rehomed and recycled constantly. We were also receiving wild-caught birds and ex-breeders whose experiences at the hands of people had been overwhelmingly negative, and they didn't want to be pets. They didn't like humans. There was no place for these birds to go.
So that's when we created the sanctuary. But before I get into my section, I actually want to do a quick introduction for the people that just came on, because I saw we had a big spike. We're at 61 people watching now. Karen and I have been on for a while, and I wanted to do a quick introduction. We've got Karen Windsor, who's the Executive Director of Foster Parrots, and my name is Danica Oriel Morway, and I am on the board of Foster Parrots, and I am the previous Sanctuary Director. I've been working with Foster Parrots for 5 years. Karen has been with Foster Parrots for how many years?
20 years with Foster Parrots.
Right, 20 years.
Yeah.
So this is just a quick reminder of who we are for those that just jumped on before I get into the now of Foster Parrots, which is started in 2007 when Foster Parrots came to Rhode Island and took over what was an abandoned chicken farm. This was a place that you had thousands upon thousands of chickens living in horrific conditions for a life of abuse and inevitably death. And what we did is we turned that from a factory farm to a lifetime sanctuary. And the reality is that the sanctuary is here to offer a permanent lifetime opportunity for birds that were no longer a good candidate or never were a good candidate for the home. And so there's a 23-acre property sitting in southern Rhode Island that has been slowly rebuilt since 2007 with the blood, sweat, and tears of staff, volunteers, people like Karen and Mark Johnson, the founder of this organization, who have put every inch of themselves into building this truly amazing facility, amazing organization. This now has become a hub for many, many programs. It started out, you know, we were sanctuary, and then we started doing adoptions, and then we started doing education, and it's now we've got an art program, we've got a residential program, and it's really blossoming into something truly amazing and unique. I've never seen an organization function quite like this, and I'm really proud to be associated with Foster Parrots. But one of the most important things about this facility is that it meets the needs of these birds where they need it most. We have some birds that come in that are truly wild. They don't want to be around people. They need to be with birds. They need to be, you know, autonomous, independent on their own. But then we also have birds that have been brought up around people. That's all they know. So giving them space where they can have contact with people, they can get the social, emotional support that they need. Across the board, they all get amazing care, veterinary care, proper diet, proper nutrition, all these things. But this is the value and the importance of the sanctuary. So we are really excited to share the sanctuary with you and introduce you a little bit to what we do and the facility itself.
Okay, so take a look. This is Foster Parrots.
Hi everybody, welcome to Foster Parrots. Our sanctuary facility that you see behind me is a permanent home for over 400 parrots and exotic animals. Let's take a look inside. At Foster Parrots, we're working to address the captive parrot problem through humane education, conservation efforts, adoption services, and sanctuary. Our 25,000 square foot sanctuary facility holds more than 40 aviaries and open concept spaces to accommodate our birds. Each parrot that arrives here is evaluated individually. We customize care to make sure we meet the needs of every bird as an individual. Every bird is different. Some birds are strongly human bonded and can be intimidated by the sanctuary setting. Birds who prefer human companionship go up for adoption into well-vetted, capable homes. Because we receive surrender requests for more than 700 unwanted parrots every year, we can't accommodate every bird in the sanctuary, and not all birds are good candidates for our aviaries. Social support is one of the biggest factors in how we make decisions for our birds. In the wild, parrots would remain with a flock and they would never be out of earshot from their mate. Sanctuary birds receive most of their social support from their aviary mates. If a bird is surrendered to us and we observe that they prefer avian companionship over people, we'll work to integrate them into an aviary with others of the same or similar species. Many of our birds come from emergency situations, including abuse, neglect, abandonment, or the death of their human caretaker. We prioritize birds in emergency situations and birds that require medical care that they would not be able to receive if foster parrots didn't step in. These birds have the highest impact on our resources and require the most financial support. So many parrots in captivity suffer from humans' poor understanding of what it takes to meet their needs. We receive surrender requests for aggressive birds, birds who scream excessively, and a host of other negative behaviors. These behaviors manifest because captive parrots aren't receiving the social support, diet, exercise, and enrichment that they need. We see these problems fade away as our birds integrate into a dynamic flock in an environment where they can fly, play, vocalize, and act like birds. Parrots are wild animals that have not been domesticated over thousands of years like cats and dogs have. We work to create a home for these birds who have no place else to turn that's as close as possible to the life they'd experience in the wild. Watching our birds form relationships with each other, enjoying a sunny day or a rainfall in their outdoor aviaries, or figuring out a foraging toy for the first time, is both rewarding and heartbreaking. Our sanctuary can't replace the life of freedom that they deserve. But with an unending stream of unwanted captive parrots knocking at our door, we do our best. We create enriched environments and we give our birds as much autonomy and freedom as we can. We can't do it without your help. Please support us and help us spread the word that no cage is big enough.
Are we back, Mika? We are back. Okay. Sanctuary is a great option for birds who have no place else to go. They're unadoptable, and euthanasia of healthy parrots is happening. But not all parrots are suitable for life in sanctuary. Well socialized, human bonded birds should be with people. And this is the best way for us to meet the individual needs of every single bird. Not all birds belong in sanctuary. Not all birds are eligible for adoption, but those who are leave room. Having an effective adoption program opens up room in sanctuary for birds who need it most. So I'm sitting here now with Rachel DeFranza, and Rachel is Foster Parrots Adoption and Community Education Director. And our adoption program is probably the most demanding program that we have. It's extremely intense, and you could do it 24 hours a day, every single day. But let's talk a little bit about this. Rachel, what's going wrong with parrots? Why do we have this problem? What's happening?
Well, we see surrender requests for every single reason that you could possibly imagine. Issues that come up with parrots, excessive vocalizations, aggression, destruction, all kinds of things, anything you can think of. And then on top of that, humans, lifestyle changes that affect their ability to keep a bird in the home, people moving, new babies, new pets, anything in the book that you can possibly think of, we've heard it. And really what it comes down to is the ultimate failure of humans as companions to parrots. Parrots are wild animals, and they're not meant to be alone in a cage. So we take them and put them in a home where somebody goes to work all day and leaves their parrot alone, and it's just not natural. They're meant to fly, they're meant to be with a flock and with a mate for 24 hours a day. So when we leave them alone like that, it's really difficult for them, and that's when we see the really challenging behaviors come out with more severe aggression and screaming and things like that. And at the end of the day, even the most wonderful parrot guardian who dedicates their lives to their birds does as good a job as anyone possibly can taking care of a bird in captivity. Parrots have such long lifespans that a lot of birds outlive their owners, and even if they were well cared for, they may need to be rehomed eventually anyhow.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem.
I think that we're finding that a lot of times it's not even so much the problem of parrots being aggressive or mal-behaved. It's the changes in the lives of people. We cannot be dependent upon to be there for our parrots. So what are we looking for in good quality homes? I mean, what are Foster Parrots policies?
Well, the absolute number one thing that we're looking for in an adoptive home is social support. Parrots are extremely social animals, and like I said, they would be with their flock and their mate for 24 hours a day in the wild. So we're really looking for homes where people can have their birds out of the cage and giving them direct attention for several hours a day as a minimum requirement. And on top of that, everything you would expect, we're looking for a bright, safe environment for the birds where they're going to be well cared for, and a dedicated guardian who is going to be able to work through all those life changes with their bird. And homes don't need to be perfect by any means, and people don't need to have parrot experience. We just really need people to be willing to listen and learn, because there's a lot of misinformation about parrots out there.
That is true. That's absolutely true. When parrots are exhibiting negative behaviors like screaming or biting, can't we just train these birds? Can't we train these problems out of them?
Well, in some cases, training can certainly help with things, and we definitely recommend that people pursue professional behavior training for their birds if it means that a bird is going to be able to keep their home where they're comfortable and safe. But at the end of the day, a lot of things that people have trouble with their birds are just natural parrot behaviors. Parrots are destructive, and they need to be able to chew wood and make a mess, and they need to be able to vocalize, and we can't and shouldn't be trying to train those things out of these animals. That's sort of just comes with the territory of having parrots.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. Parrots are America's third most popular pet, excluding tropical fish. but their natural behaviors very often are not compatible in human homes or with what people, what their idea of what a pet should be. So the problem is huge, and yet there are no large national animal welfare organizations focused on parrots or on the unwanted parrot problem, which is enormous. And so that is why, Foster Parrots we're trying to fill this void. And, not just Foster Parrots, but so many of our avian welfare partners out there. It's important. This is a fundraiser, and we need your support to do this work. You're the parrot people. What is your vision for the future of parrots? What kind of services do you want to see happening for parrots? Let us know and donate to Foster Parrots. Speaking of donating to Foster Parrots, we have a little bit of an incentive. So it's this. Okay. These are beautiful feather flowers created, handmade by our volunteer Julian Trilling. These are all naturally shed at the sanctuary by Foster Parrots birds. And Julian makes these amazing creations, and she can make, smaller, ones for your wrist or for your lapel. These could almost be worn as a hat. They are stunning. And anybody who makes a donation of $1,000 or more during this program, we will send you one of these very unique and beautiful creations. So there you go. Don't forget to donate. Moving right along. Okay, so it wouldn't be a Foster Parrots fundraiser without the alcohol and without the food. So we did want to give a shout out to Lagunitas Brewing Company, who Lagunitas has been our beer sponsor for 10 years, and I am rarely seen at one of our on-site events without an IPA in my hand. So we do want to say thank you. And while we cannot replicate all of the booze and food that normally people enjoy at our fall fundraiser, we thought it would be fun to share some signature cocktail and food demonstrations. So join us now. Take a look. Oh, wait. Also, fun parrot facts with Rachel. So take a look. Hi, welcome to Karen's Kitchen. Well, it's not really Karen's kitchen, it's really Mark Johnson's kitchen. He's usually the one cooking here, and that's how he keeps me alive. But anyways, today we're going to make a Foster Parrots signature cocktail, and it's gonna be a margarita. And this is a margarita that only has 3 ingredients. No margarita mix here, don't do it to yourself. It's high fructose corn syrup, you don't want that. 3 ingredients: limes, sugar, tequila. Now, of course, this little teeny bottle of Patron, you wouldn't use this, you would want to buy a much bigger bottle. But anyways, so this is what we do. Got our nifty little shaker here. I am going to squeeze limes, but that takes a long time, so I've pre-squeezed. So you are going to take your lime juice, straight lime juice, your sugar, and your tequila. You can measure it out if you need to. That seems good to me. Then we're gonna take this Anyways, sorry. Then we're going to take your shaker and shake it. I've got ice in here, which is helpful. Shake it with ice because it'll make your margarita nice and cold. Get that sugar going. Nice. Let's try it. Oh, that is absolutely delicious. And it's only 20 minutes past 12 p.m., so this is a great way to start the day.
Hi, my name is Danica, and I'm the former Sanctuary Director of Foster Parrots in the New England Exotic Wildlife Sanctuary. I'm now proudly serving on the board of Foster Parrots as a treasurer and continue to support this amazing organization. Today, I've been asked to teach you all how to make a White Russian. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, like, what the heck does a White Russian drink have to do with parrots? You know, it doesn't exactly make you think of Amazons and macaws flying through the rainforest or cockatoos flying through the wilds of Australia. But for me, it does make me think of parrots because it makes me think of a very particular person who I know is cringing right now and probably cursing my name as I do this, Stephanie. Stephanie is our volunteer coordinator at Foster Parrots. She has trained over 300 staff and volunteers. She has dedicated more hours than almost anybody in this organization to not only these birds, but to the facility itself. Stephanie has weathered every possible storm, quite literally, this organization could face. From power outages to hurricanes to flooding to downed trees to lightning strikes, you name it, she's been there. Her dedication to these birds is unwavering. Her dedication to this organization is inspiring. Stephanie, we started off as colleagues and we ended off as friends and truly family. I had my first White Russian with you and I hope to have many more in the near future. So today's drink is in your honor. And without further ado, the Stephanie Young White Russian. So the beauty about this drink is that it's truly a very simple drink. It's equal parts. So the only way to really mess it up is if you decide to go all like, I'm going to start mixing it up and add more of this. It's like, just stick with the simple, tried and true, equal parts recipe. Make it as strong as you want or as weak as you want, but it's just a matter of how much you decide to use. So today I'm using 2 ounces each of pre-measured because I didn't know if I'd end up making a mess trying to do this, measuring it out while I record this. So I'm going to start with the vodka. Now with the vodka, if one has to be Tito's. That's Stephanie's favorite, and she always orders that when we go out. The vodka, I like to think, is sort of it eases the pain of having, say, your hand mauled by a hormonal Amazon. Nice little sort of takes the edge off. Second, your Kahlua. Kind of your standard, mixer. Some people get fancy and like make their own coffee liqueur, like one of our favorite go-to restaurants, but this is sort of a tried and true. Now, there isn't caffeine in it, but I do like to think it's like, it gives the illusion of a pick-me-up. So after you've been mopping, say, 13 aviaries in a row and you've scraped and swept probably 20,000 square feet of floor, dodging angry birds or birds trying to nip at your ears, you know, this kind of it's a little pick-me-up and takes the edge off at the same time. So, the Kahlua. And last but not least, is the cream. Now I'm sorry vegans, this is not a vegan friendly recipe, but I'm using heavy cream. You can use whole milk or regular cream. It really doesn't matter. And this, I like to think of this as sort of like the treat at the end of a long day. It's like the smooth finish of the drink. After you've cleaned out, 15 gross cages, cleaned up the papers and thrown away, you've dragged the trash out, you've done all the sort of gross bits of the day. You walk out the door, you get yourself a nice White Russian, and here is, again, that sweet finish, the smooth finish to a long, hard day. Now, I'm mixing it in a mason jar with a lid because I seem to only have mason jars in my house, but you want to mix it pretty good, make sure everything gets in there together. I think at a real bar, they would probably have a proper mixer and they'd probably have ice in it, but I'm in my kitchen and I'm not an actual mixologist, so this is my best attempt. So here you go. Now, extra ice. Stephanie always makes a point to say extra ice, so I tried to fill my up as much as I could and not overflow. And here you go. Let's see. Boom. White Russian, Stephanie style. Absolutely never ever to be drunk with a straw. And Stephanie will remind you and everyone around you, no straws, extra ice, Tito's, good to go. Thank you, Stephanie. You're a friend, your family. It's been an honor. Onward and upward.
Now I'm going to share with you one of my favorite vegan recipes. And it's also really quick and easy recipe if you're tired after a long day of work and you don't feel like cooking, or Mark Johnson's not around to cook for you. This is a great go-to recipe. So first you're going to start out with your block of ramen. You're going to use, I use miso soup as my base. This is white miso soup. It comes in red as well. This is by Bay Cliff Company, and quick and easy. Maybe there are a few other things that you would like in your ramen. Tofu perhaps. I like crushed peanuts, maybe a little basil. And of course all of this is going to go really well for lunch with our margarita. Let's get started. We've got 2 pots of boiling water, and let's just any amount of water that you need. This is 1 cup of water. When this starts boiling, you're going to pour in your soup. Give that a little stir. And shut it off. There. You're going to stick your ramen in. This recipe takes only as much time as you need to boil your ramen, and it's like maybe 5 minutes, so it's pretty fast. When your ramen is done, you want to quickly drain that. You're going to plop that into your bowl, just like that. Add your miso soup mix. And then you can add whatever you want, really. You know, if you like mushrooms or other vegetables. I like a little tofu. I like to add crushed peanuts. A little bit of basil. And there you go. It doesn't get better than that, and it doesn't get easier than that.
It's time for Parrot Facts. Get ready to be amazed, because this flight is ready for takeoff. This is Jack and Ava, our eclectus pair. Scientists originally thought these were 2 distinct species. Eclectus parrots are one of the few parrot species that's sexually dimorphic, which may sound like gutter talk, but it just means that the males and females look different. On the other hand, we can't tell the difference between male and female blue and gold macaws, but they can. They see in the ultraviolet spectrum. Groovy, right? So they can tell sexes apart more easily by feather distinctions that we're blind to. Did you know that parrots have hollow bones?
Having hollow bones is sort of like a super innovative weight loss technique. But you probably shouldn't try it at home because it took birds like millions of years to evolve this way, and ain't nobody got time for that. Also, y'all look perfect just the way you are.
Anyway, their hollow bones keep them nice and light so they can fly more easily. Speaking of staying light for flight, parrots poop a lot. They can't be carrying around a food baby from lunch when they're trying to float through the air, so yeah, we see a lot of poop around here. Luckily, in addition to seeing a lot of poop, we also see a lot of love. Most parrot species mate for life. There's nothing better than witnessing the bond between 2 birds. Well, except for not witnessing it, because they're bonding in the wild where we can't see them and we're not bothering them. That would be better. This has been Parrot Facts. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
You're on.
I'm on. All right. Okay, sorry about
Hope
that.
you guys enjoyed that wonderful segment.
All right, so it's time for me to talk about feral arts. Danica, again, thank you all for coming. Remember, like and share. I'm going to be talking to you a bit about Feral Arts, which is one of our newest and most unique programs here at Foster Parrots. And it's a program that's designed to connect artists and community and people who care about animals and the environment together. And the idea of this program was not sort of an intentional design. It was really organic. It really happened kind of on its own. When we had people reaching out to us asking, like, how can I engage? How can I work with you guys? But I'm afraid of birds. I don't like birds. People don't necessarily have that connection, but they like the work, they like the mission, and people wanted to help out. And so we found ourselves having these artists and these tradespeople that were coming in and saying, how can we participate in this? And we found that giving them an opportunity and a space to engage, really, it grew our community so quickly. And we found that artists were helping us build our aviaries, they're helping us build our play frame structures. All of the facility is a work of art in essence. And as that started to evolve, we started to think about, how can we get more and more people engaged in this way? Because as we know, animal care is such a huge part of foster parrots, but by bringing in this community of artists, we started to grow our ability to build and take care of these animals. And part of that, we also started to see this sort of a way of representing the issue that we're dealing with, the captivity issue. And it's the framework issue. It's the framework that we've all been conditioned to think of parrots as a captive animal. This is a wild animal in a cage, yet we've all been brought up thinking of birds and parrots as caged animals. And that's a part of the representation in our culture, in society, in cartoons, and everything we see. And by changing that framework with art, we are able to start changing the way that we look at birds. And the idea of feral arts is to not only give people a platform to start that sort of reframing and to reposition parrots as wild animals and not as captive animals through expression and through storytelling, but also gives us an opportunity to engage with foster parrots and help us grow our reach and our expression and our advocacy. So we do have a short video here today to talk a little bit about what Feral Arts does and how it has engaged with the work of foster parrots and the work we're trying to do. So please enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video of feral arts, and now I want to bring it back to the sanctuary and to the birds and to the staff and to the volunteers that make this place so special. So please welcome, and I hope you have fun getting to meet some of the amazing people that make this place run and some of the amazing birds that call Foster Parrots home.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm one of the caretakers here with Foster Parrots. I'm here to introduce today our yard birds, including this incredibly handsome bird, Toby, our rooster. These birds get really specialized care outside, things like predator-proofed housing, species-appropriate diets, and preventative care like body checks. So let's go check them out. Here we have Angel. This is our goose resident we have here. She's incredibly sweet, keeps to herself for the most part. And actually, geese have incredible memories. They're able to remember faces and voices and really remember how these people impacted them in the future and reflect back on these memories when they interact with you again.
Normally, Canadian geese are wild animals. However, Angel has developed angel wing disease, which makes her dependent on humans for the rest of her natural life. Angel wing disease is when birds are fed a high-calorie but low-nutrient diet, and being fed bread is thought to be a contributor to this. The best thing you can do for these birds is to let them live independently, finding their own food and balancing their own diets. You may notice that our pond is very green. It's actually duckweed, which is a highly nutritious, naturally growing plant that the geese and ducks love to graze on. We have two roosters here called Red and Toby who have very distinct personalities. Roosters are often unwanted because they don't lay eggs and are louder when they express themselves. This lack of private homes causes a constant saturation of roosters in the rescue community. Very often this results in the boys being abandoned, which is a death sentence for any domesticated species in the wild. They are incredibly deserving, loving birds that can make great companions. Foster Parrots also has some small mammals. Over here we have the Patagonian Mara, which originate from Argentina, where they naturally would have over 200 acres to their wild territories. Unfortunately, this species is commonly used in roadside zoos, which is actually where ours were rescued from. Captivity can often lead to very frustrated lives due to the inability to replicate this large territory and subsequent lifestyle they've evolved to need. All of these animals showed are inherently valuable and deserve to be respected and live lives free from exploitation.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Harold. He's one of our sulcata tortoises here at Foster Parrots. We have a few different species of reptiles. We have a green iguana, a couple leopard geckos, and a few different species of turtles. Harold here is about 30 years old, and we know this because of the rings on the scutes of his shell. So each little spot right here is called a scute, and they grow the same way the rings of a tree grow. There's a couple different factors that create variations, but it's a good approximation of age.
A proper diet is vital to their health. They need tons of grass to graze on, and supplemental hay and fresh greens. Improper diet can lead to spikes, bumps, and dips in their shell, as well as liver failure. Sulcata tortoises spend much of their time digging holes. They're even capable of breaking fences, walls, and even moving cinder blocks. With a lifespan of over 100 years, planning for their care throughout that time can be a very difficult task. For these reasons and many others, sulcata tortoises are inappropriate pets to keep. They are currently listed as a vulnerable species, and to ensure that they don't reach the point of endangerment, we need to keep them in the wild and out of captivity.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I work as an animal caretaker here at Foster Parrots in Hope Valley, Rhode Island. One of my favorite animals to take care of here are the Amazon parrots. They're very, very energetic and loving, and they're also very excitable, and they're probably one of my favorites here because of that. Amazon parrots are prone to obesity, fat liver disease, and heart problems in captivity. In the wild, they'd have access to a natural diet and they'd fly miles every day. We love to hand out treats to our birds, and it helps us build trusting relationships with them. But we have to be careful not to overfeed or give them too many fatty treats. Each of our birds receives a pre-measured diet of pellets, nuts, and fresh fruits and vegetables.
Hi, I'm Bradley, Sanctuary Manager here at Foster Parrots. Let's meet the cockatoos. Cockatoos are mostly native to Australia and Indonesia and can live to be up to 70 years old. There are 21 species of cockatoos, but here at the sanctuary we have mostly Moluccan cockatoos and umbrella cockatoos, along with a few Goffin's cockatoos like Watusi and our sulfur-crested cockatoo Ira. The fact that cockatoos like Dolly are often so friendly and affectionate is what draws people to them as pets, but it's also a huge challenge to accommodate. In the wild, these birds would pair up with a mate who would provide constant attention, much more than most human beings can provide them. For many parrots, the ideal environment is in a flock with other birds of their own species. So we strive wherever possible to integrate our cockatoos into community aviaries where they can interact with other cockatoos and gain some independence from us humans. Our summertime outdoor aviaries provide access to crucial sunlight and fresh air, along with lots of wide open space to encourage natural flight behavior, which are all important aspects of the cockatoo's psychological health as well as their physical health. Unfortunately, some of our birds are non-flighted, meaning they either lack the physical ability to fly or they simply never realized that they could. For this reason, it's really important that we maintain aviaries that are safe, interesting, and easy to navigate for those birds as well. Because of cockatoos' intelligence, emotional complexity, and physical needs, self-destructive behavior like feather plucking is particularly prevalent in these species. It sometimes results in permanent feather loss or progresses to self-mutilation so severe that it requires physical barriers, like vests and collars, to maintain the bird's own safety. It's a deeply ingrained behavior that, once developed, is challenging to work past. But we do our best to provide as much enrichment, attention, and medical care where needed to help these birds curb this destructive tendency. As naturally destructive animals, cockatoos require a constant supply of enrichment. We provide this in the form of toys, complex foods like nuts in hard shells, and a habitat that is itself designed to be destroyed and rebuilt on a regular basis. So it's no wonder they often don't do well in people's homes. While cockatoos are beautiful, affectionate, and engaging, they are also destructive, aggressive, and at their core, wild animals, and they absolutely do not belong in captivity.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel. I'm the Director of Adoptions and Education here at Foster Parrots. Here's a look at our small adoption center, where our adoptable birds are able to receive plenty of human attention. We take the time to evaluate our adoptable birds' preferences in order to set them up for success in their new homes. The sanctuary setting can be difficult for birds that are accustomed to life in a home with lots of human attention and interaction. With the overwhelming amount of surrender requests we receive, it's not feasible for us to take in and provide permanent residence for every single one. The adoption program is our answer to that problem. We place birds that prefer human attention into good homes where they'll receive a healthy diet, enrichment, veterinary care, and several hours of direct attention and out-of-cage time as minimum requirements. Visit fosterparrots.com/adoption-rescue if you'd like to learn more about adoption. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to our staff share some of our passions and our work here at Foster Parrots. Now we want to share some of our bird stories with you. Every single bird that comes to us comes with a unique history, a unique story, and many of them are tragic. Even the happiest stories of birds who come here from homes where they were well loved and cared for are usually laced with heartbreak, as these birds outlive their owners or need to be rehomed for any number of reasons. First, let's meet Daisy and Raleigh. This Amazon pair was loved by the humans in their previous home, but their caretaker developed COPD and emphysema, making it impossible to spend time with the birds and their dander. Raleigh also needed medical attention for her feet. She isn't able to open her toes or climb normally. Raleigh and Daisy had to be separated in their previous home to accommodate Raleigh's special needs, but they were desperate to be together when they arrived here. We've been able to modify a cage to accommodate both birds, and Daisy takes advantage of our open door policy to visit all his other new friends.
This is Mary. Mary is a scarlet macaw. Mary's human, Jim Crandall, had never loved anything in his life more than he loved this bird. But Jim was 52, Mary was 2. Jim could do the math, and he was worried about her future. So he contacted us, and we encouraged him to include Mary in his estate planning in case anything ever happened to him. And tragically, just a few years later, he was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer. So it was important to Jim to make sure that Mary was going to be okay. He can't just bring her to the sanctuary. So Mary without Jim was a sad bird. When Mary came, we watched her a depression. She lost some of her feathers and she was withdrawn, and it took her a little while to adjust to not having Jim. But Mary has lots of friends at Foster Parrots now, and she's a well-adjusted bird and a happy bird, though she still misses Jim.
Pumpkin Pie and Matey are a sun conure pair that came from a hoarding situation. These birds were in a home with more than 80 other parrots. They belonged to a person who believed she was rescuing these birds, and that may have been true at first, but she continued taking birds in until the situation became out of control. Foster Parrots was able to take several birds from the home, focusing on the ones who needed immediate medical intervention. Our sanctuary manager and our veterinarian worked tirelessly to save Pumpkin Pie's life.
We knew that something was up. He was underweight, lethargic, and started spending most of his time just laying at the bottom of his cage. We immediately contacted our veterinarian, Dr. Ann Burke, and began providing supportive care, keeping his environment as warm as possible and providing easy access to food and water. In addition, we started him on a general antibiotic and a calcium supplement. Considering his background and the poor diet he was receiving, a nutritional deficiency wouldn't be surprising. But after a week of this, we were seeing only minimal improvement. So we started to look at another possibility: heart disease. This is one of the most common issues we see with birds in captivity. The poor diet that's often way too high in fat, combined with a lack of exercise, nothing compared to the miles and miles of flight that their heart is designed for, predisposes these birds to cardiovascular issues. So we started Pumpkin Pie on a heart medication. It was a slow process, but gradually we did see improvement, and Pumpkin Pie is now a happy, healthy bird.
Hi, this is Big Bert and Jub Jub. Bert is a hyacinth macaw. He's one of 3 that we have here at the sanctuary. And Bert was surrendered to Foster Parrots when he wasn't even 3 years old. people all think that they want the biggest, bluest bird money can buy, but a hyacinth is a handful. It's a lot to take care of. When Bert yells, the walls shake. So Bert ended up here with us, and he bonded with Jub, who was a blue-throated macaw. Of course, everybody's all about Bert, but the real interesting bird is Jub because his species is highly endangered. There are a few hundred left in the wild, and several groups are working to bring these birds back. But these guys are both males, very strongly bonded, and they are a delight to me.
In 2009, Foster Parrots was contacted about 2 Moluccan cockatoos who had been found abandoned in a breeding box in a park in the Bronx, New York. Named Lucy and Desi, when they were found, they were malnourished and understandably terrified. Likely wild-caught birds who spent a lifetime in a breeding facility. It was a slow process for them to become accustomed to their new home, but eventually they did settle in. Sadly, Desi passed away a few years later, leaving Lucy behind. But Lucy was able to find friendship in other birds, and slowly, her trust in humans started to build as well, so that she will now confidently approach people she's familiar with and take a treat from an outstretched hand. Lucy hit another roadblock about 2 years ago when she suffered a stroke, permanently impacting her balance. But with some modifications to her environment, Lucy has been able to relearn how to navigate the world, and now has welcomed a small flock of other birds who are more timid or also have mobility issues to share her frame with her. Lucy has had to face so many challenges in her life, but she's overcome them all and found a lifetime home and family.
Okay, now we're back. Another one of Foster Parrots' important programs or activities has been conservation. Foster Parrots has always been passionate about conservation work. You know, of the roughly 360 parrot species on the planet, 1/3 of parrots globally are endangered or threatened. 1/2 of all parrot species are in decline. Parrots are taking a hit. Domestic breeding of parrots has done nothing to stop poaching in the wild and the decimation of wild parrot populations. Actually, it's the legal trade in parrots that fuels illegal poaching activity and what's happening to these birds. As long as parrots are regarded as pets, as long as a cage represents in people's minds a natural environment for a parrot, parrots in the wild are going to be under siege. It's an important stance to take. Foster Parrots work in conservation began in 2005 when we went into Guyana. We established a ecotourism-based conservation project with the Amerindians in Guyana. We are back in Guyana again in partnership with One Earth Conservation to study and try to protect the sun parakeets there, aka sun conures, as most people understand that to be. We also work in Costa Rica. We're in partnership with Macaw Conservation, whose primary activities is the rescue and rehabilitation of native parrot species in Costa Rica, and also the protection of scarlet macaws. Scarlet macaws is a species that is disappearing quickly throughout Central America, so conservation efforts to protect them are really important. So, with that said, let's take a look at some of our conservation partnerships.
Hello, Foster Parrots, supporters, family and friends. Welcome to Fall Conservation here in Costa Rica. So today we're going to give you a virtual tour of the sanctuary that has been such a great success thanks to the collaboration between Foster Parrots and Fall Conservation. We're very happy that we've been able to achieve so much in the past 6 years. So come and meet the birds. So 6 years ago, when Foster Parrots and Macaw Conservation made a partnership, purchased this land where it used to be a bare rice field, not a single tree on the property, and so in 6 years we've been able to achieve quite a lot. Foster Parrots has been the driving force behind Macaw Conservation, so without their support none of this would have been possible. We've rehabilitated this property, we've reforested, we've got food trees for animals such as the macaws, like these beech almonds, there's Nancy, mangoes, guavas, and it's just been amazing to see the progress in the last 6 years from not a single tree to this beautiful flourishing forest. Now, welcome to one of our sanctuary aviaries. Here we have macaws from various parts of the country that have been rescued or confiscated, and we've had to rehabilitate them. They can't be released, so we give them a permanent safe home. This is a real character here, Lapita and David. Lapita had lived in someone's house as a pet for 20 years, never met another macaw before, and didn't know how to act like a macaw. So we rehabilitated her and we've put her in with a macaw called David, and they get on really, really well. Now at the moment I'm giving them beech almonds. Now beech almonds is their favourite food that they can find in the wild, and it keeps them entertained as well. Come on Lapita, come on David. Our pre-release aviary. This is where the macaws that have been rescued over the past few years come, they live, they learn how to eat wild foods, and then from there we release them softly back into the wild. So this is a group of 4 macaws, and they're the last for release this year, Mila and her friends. So let's see if they'll come down for some almonds. They're a bit shy. Mila. You're a bit shy today. But that's good, because we want them to be wild. We don't want them to be released and go back and be humanised. So this is a good sign that they're not wanting to come down. Some of them have been, or they all have been hand raised because they were rescued as chicks. Let's go meet some of the birds outside, shall we? We utilise soft release protocols which allows the macaws to readapt to life in the wild, foraging for natural foods and gradually becoming independent. Supplementary food is still offered on a daily basis, and that allows us to monitor their progress and their partnerships. Over the years we've been able to study the macaws' integration and acceptance into the wild populations, which is fascinating. In Central America, the largest remnant wild population resides here on the Osa Peninsula. There are estimated 2,000 to 3,000 scarlet macaws left in the wild here. One of our success stories is Mila, who was a rescue found on the forest floor as a young 20-day-old chick by a tour guide giving a night tour in Drake's Bay. Mila was brought to the Macaw Conservation Refuge, where she was given treatment and hand-raised.
A year and a half later, Mila is now out enjoying life in the wild, which has been a great success with her flock mates. Recently, during her release, she went missing for 3 days. We were a bit worried, but luckily located her about 2 kilometres away. Surprisingly enough, she was being allo-fed by one of our previous release birds, Mike, which was great because we knew he was taking care of her. A day later, she turned up at the release site with Mike, who had led her to find the way back safe and sound so she could come down to the feed station and get a good feed, which she was quite hungry. She was able to drink and eat and then took off again with Mike and comes back to the feed stations on a daily basis, enjoying her company of her new flock mates.
Over the past 6, nearly 7 years, the collaboration with Foster Parrots has been a great success, and we thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts here at Macaw Conservation in Costa Rica. But we do need more help, and if you can help and are able to help us, it's so greatly appreciated, and it comes straight to the birds, and you can see the progress we've made. So thanking you all very much in this virtual fundraiser. Great to be a part of it. We're proud to be here, and we're hoping everyone's safe. Thank you.
You can donate directly to Macaw Conservation through Foster Parrots, our project partners. Just add a designation note to the donation that it's for Macaw Conservation Costa Rica. Thank you again, and stay safe.
Hello, I hope you're having a great time at this Foster Parrot event. We sure do at One Earth Conservation. I'm Laura Kim Joyner, and it's so wonderful to be able to work with them. Foster Parrots helped us get started several years ago, and we're now working in over 8 countries using a technique that we call conservation with heart, helping people where they are from where we are. And this has been a really important approach during the time of the pandemic, because we can't go to be where they are. And they, because they live with the parrots, can continue doing the work that they've been doing, such as our project in La Mosquitia, Honduras. Here we are getting ready to go out in our field truck to visit one of our 11 communities, taking confiscated parrots with us and all the gear. This is an indigenous project, the Mosquito people, where they rescue and release parrots. And they also do education programs, visiting communities very far, and also visiting homes to help people take better care of their parrots. Our biggest project is the nest monitoring and protection, which covers 1.1 million acres. And here's the team this year going deep into the forest, where they were able to document the very first gray green macaw nest ever in Honduras. They bred there before, but we had never officially documented, and this was a successful nest. Foster Parrots has helped us with the Nicaragua project, supporting the people there to come here and do work and to volunteer. This is our group providing the census that we do annually in July. We try to involve as many people as we can. Our partners there do community education, hiring local people, working with the young people. And here we are climbing trees, because once again, like Honduras, it's very important, our nest monitoring and protection, because there is poaching there. And here is a nest of 4 yellow nape Amazon chicks, all 4 fledged successfully. It's the first time I've ever seen it in my 34 years of conservation. Sometimes the chicks aren't as well, and that's why we examine them, because we might need to take them from the nest so that they will grow up healthy and be able to fly free. The biggest project that we work with is with Guyana. Without them, we would not have a sun parakeet program. We went there with Foster Parrots in 2017 with Danica, and we went there to ask the village, Karaspai, if they wanted to do a project with their sun parakeet, very endangered, only a couple hundred birds. They said yes, so we planned a capacity program for the ranger, teaching them all about avian conservation and welfare and how to be rangers. And so here they are going out to do the first ever complete sun parakeet count in Guyana. And so we're all going off in our different directions, organizing our counts. They're now well trained. Also had to go on the river between Brazil and Guyana to be able to count some of the population along the rivers. Here we are looking for places to place our people. So there they are along the river, summing up, working, and finding out how many parrots there were. And last year we will count 406, nearly double, perhaps to the protection efforts. That's why we have so many. Nest protection, yes, this is what they do. And so they go out, and we are learning all kinds of things. Turns out what we're mostly learning is we don't know very much about the parakeets. They go down to the rivers and drink and give this water to their chicks. They fly in groups that have multi-generations in them, but we're not sure how to age them. They get more yellow the older they get, but we don't quite know how long that takes. They also nest together and they roost together in cavities. They're cavity roosters. And it may be that they breed in the same cavity where they roost and maybe with unrelated adults and chicks from last year. Basically, we know nothing about this, nor the time of year when they breed. We're doing basic science there because we have to know the birds to be able to protect them. And to be able to support Karaspai with the sun parakeet, we involve neighboring villages, such this one as Rewa, where we were working with them to develop a technique to be able to census the birds on the river doing floating counts. And we're so grateful to Foster Parrots for providing stipends for Dexter here, who works in the morning until late at night. Working through all kinds of weather, getting rained out on the riverside, and days such as this. In Karaspai and also in Rewa, ecotourism is the hope that people will be able to support their own conservation projects. So here are the trained rangers pointing out to a group of tourists where the sun parakeets are. And not only do we work with the local villages, but at the national level, because it takes a nation to protect a parrot. So here we are with Foster Parrots doing a capacity training at the college and with government organizations, and taking the groups of students and professors out to local botanical gardens to teach them how to identify and count parrots. We need education materials for this work, and Foster Parrots is great at developing this material that we can use in all kinds of places, wherever we go, visiting children or ecotourist places. We talk to them about their parrots, and they do have a relationship with their parrots here, taking them with them on a video showing that we have of our conservation work, and also taking them out with counts. So this work that we do with education is so that we have a future of children who grow up knowing how to take care of their parrots, and it's important. And so we work multi-generation. Here's a ranger from Karaspai with his daughter. He is an artist, and he made this. It's a painted parakeet, but it says, "Welcome to my sweet home," welcoming us to their project there. But they also are welcoming the parrots. The parrots in turn are welcoming us, so that when we work with people like Foster Parrots, we can help people where they are, welcome all of their wildlife to Earth's sweet home. And you all are part of this for helping Foster Parrots and for helping us. And the great thing about doing conservation work with Foster Parrots, it's a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, I think it's time for you all to go back to your party. Thanks again.
Okay, are we on?
Yes.
All right. You know, visiting a country like Guyana is such a unique experience and an overwhelming, life-changing experience. The first time I went to Guyana in 2005 and saw my first parrots in the wild, it made me wonder, why would anybody pluck these animals out of the sky and put them in a cage? So it's been a privilege to work in Guyana. And Danica has had the opportunity to work with One Earth Conservation, and she has taken several expeditions into Guyana on behalf of the sun parakeets. What's that been like?
It was, I mean, transformational would really be the only way to describe it. I think the thing that really hit me was we'd gone to Guyana and we were trying to find the sun parakeets, also known as the sun conure, and we are hiking, we are getting in boats, we are camping out on rivers. I mean, like, we're going to these like extremely remote areas, and I'm sitting there and I'm like thinking, we are desperate to find these birds, but back home I have so many birds sitting in cages in aviaries.
Sun parakeets.
Sun parakeets, and these are birds that in our homes are, I mean, they're prolific pets. I mean, they're one of the most common pets in captivity for
But
parrots.
one of the most frequently rehomed because of their loud vocalizations.
Right.
People can't handle.
And here I am sitting in Guyana trying to find these birds, and the last of these birds, and I had that realization, you know, again, I'd come to the parrot world through the rescue, through the sanctuary, so I only knew birds in this context, but I have this realization that we have all these sun parakeets sitting in cages, and nobody knows that they're going extinct in the wild. And you have people sitting at home with one of the last of his species sitting, languishing in a cage in their house, and they have no idea. And it was that moment I started to realize that not only is captivity and keeping parrots as pets hiding the problem what's happening to parrots in the wild, which is that they're being decimated. I mean, we're losing our birds, but it also, we are complicit in that loss, because what we're doing is by bringing a bird into our home and putting it in a cage, is creating this illusion that there's value to this bird, and that there's a demand for us to keep filling up these cages. So as long as birds are in cages, birds in the wild will be threatened, and that's a cycle we have to break. And part of breaking that cycle is bringing together the conservation programs, the rescue programs, the adoption programs, the sanctuary programs, the educational programs, the volunteer programs, bringing them together. And we've been really lucky. Foster Parrots was founded on a really collective, community-based ethos, and it's carried us through to where we are now. But that you can't do this work in a silo, and we've mentioned that before in this presentation. But we've been able to partner with organizations like One Earth Conservation, the American Bird Conservancy. We have the Parrot Conservation Alliance, which is bringing together conservation groups and rescue groups and adoption groups. And it's because we realize that every single one of us plays a really important part of this solution, which is ending the captivity of parrots and protecting these birds in their place in the natural order of things, which is in the wild, in the forest, in the environment. And it is a solution that it's a complicated problem, so it's going to require a complicated solution. And Foster Parrots, being a place that has always been about connecting and bridging those partnerships, needs to take its sort of next step into the future, which is where our capital campaign comes in. Because our facility currently is the sanctuary. We are here for the birds 100%, but we need to expand our ability to be a resource, not just for the birds, but to the community of people that want to support and protect these birds. So I'm really excited to introduce you to our capital campaign proposal, which is, it's a work in progress. It's a labor of love. We already have almost $2 million committed to this. But this is the future of this organization. It's the future of what the parrot welfare, parrot conservation movement is going to look like. And it's going to be a holistic movement. It's going to be a place where you bring together conservationists and animal welfare and animal rights. You're going to bring them all together, and we're going to talk about these issues. And Foster Parrots is trying to position itself as that hub, because we have the expertise, we have the connections, we have the facilities, we have the birds, we have the stories, and now it's about bringing everyone together about it. So part of this process is, one, creating a facility that truly meets the individual needs of these animals. We have, how many birds are at the facility currently?
379 or 380 parrots.
Yes, that each need an individual plan care, care plan, that each have an individual diet. All of these needs need to be met. Their species are different, their health, their ability, their socialization needs, their companionship needs are all different. But on top of that, we need to have a space where we can bring in schools, we can bring in conservation groups, we can have events, we can have this connection.
Which we do.
Right.
Until COVID.
Yeah, that is true. But a way to bring that up, bring it up to the next level, and to actually bring ourselves into the future of Foster Parrots, which is to be truly I want to say the sort of premier facility that can offer these things. And we can't do that by ourselves. We need your help. I mean, this is a capital campaign. This is a massive undertaking. But we need to do it not only for the birds that call Foster Parrots home, but for the birds that one day will end up at Foster Parrots, and to make sure that no more birds are taken out of the wild and put into cages. Because it is a tragedy that we have to end now. Yeah. And that's really the beauty of where this is going.
I think that Foster Parrots is important because, our philosophy is that the individual experience of every bird under our care matters. The experience of every bird and every animal on the planet's care in the hands of humans matters. So, we need to step up for parrots, and we need to invest in the future of parrots. We believe that parrots should not be pets. They're flighted wild animals. But the reality is they're here, and captivity is not going to end for parrots soon. So we need to be able to provide for these birds in captivity to the best of our ability, and to educate people. So we need your support, and we need you to make a donation to Foster Parrots. You can donate at fosterparrots.com/donate. You can go to our website. There are so many ways to support this organization. Make a donation of any size. It's the smaller and modest donations to Foster Parrots really make up the bulk of our support. You can sign up for monthly reoccurring donations, and those monthly donations establish a secure and dependable stream of support under the work of the organization. It's very important. You can become more connected to the lives of the birds by sponsoring a bird or sponsoring an aviary. It's you know, I think it's an enjoyable, you know, part of really connecting to a bird. And then also, you know, if you have the means and you want to leverage support, join the Citizen Society. Citizen Society is a brand new program. It's being established for high impact donors that really want to help shape the future of foster parrots. So all of these ways to donate are important. So we are reaching the end of our production here. And we can't thank you enough for joining us today. We have a special video that we want to end this with, and if you've ever wanted to know what a real on-site live fall fundraiser is about, you are about to see it here in this amazing music video, compliments of videographer Mark Rose, and also the Adam Ezra Group, who has played our event for 10 years. But wait,
I was gonna say,
before we go, I do have to thank just a few people very quickly. I do need to thank my son, Nico Lee, who has made all of this possible because he's a little techno genius, but I know that, you know, kids are born with computer chips in their brains now, so I don't know, they all know that. I want to thank our volunteer, Mary Beadle, who has been so amazing over these last 2 months, really helping us to pull the sanctuary together and to get so much done. She is a repair and maintenance genius, and she has donated so much of her time and talent. I want to thank Rachel DeFranzo, who she has been tortured by having to do all of this filming and video editing, which is really complicated, and she's done just an amazing job. And I want to thank Charlie Fayers, who's across the pond over there in England, for allowing us to use his amazing live video footage of scarlet macaws in Costa Rica. So thank you guys, and here you go. This is what
take my hand, I'll hold on to you, my friend. This world will break the best made plan. We'll stick together down this road, down this road. You will share my heavy load. Where we'll end up, we don't know. We'll stick together, and we'll be dancing they know where they can find us out here on the run. So come on over.
You back? All right. So we are almost done with today's event, and I just wanted to close out with a couple of thoughts. You know, it's this has been a big production for us. It's been a learning curve for us. So thank you for bearing with us, and thank you for the support and all the love and all the likes that we watched come through. As you know, Karen and I are a little bit out of our element. We're normally used to doing this in person, but I wanted to sort of end this with a sort of one final statement, and I'm going to read it because I really can't ad-lib this one. But with the situation that's happening in the world today, the world feels out of control. And I know that the future feels unclear and it feels oddly distant. And the world as we know it has been turned upside down. And for me, I haven't personally felt this way since March, since my entire world truly got turned upside down, and I no longer could go into the office and see my friends and couldn't safely see my family. And it wasn't until I started going back to foster parrots recently and giving back my time and my energy and spending time with Karen again and being around the birds again, that I started to feel that hope that I realized I've had for so long that I lost, I feel like, recently. And what I realized is that this organization it's founded on hope, and it's founded on the idea that we can have a world where animals no longer live or are kept in cages, where humans and animals coexist peacefully together, and where the existence and well-being of humans and animals are respected and elevated equally. Supporting foster parrots is a gesture of hope, and I mean that from like the absolute bottom of my heart. A hope that we won't lose our birds, that we won't lose our birds in the wild. That we will no longer be counting the last of a bird or a species in the wild, and that maybe one day we'll be counting the last of a bird being kept in a cage. This idea that our forests will once again be full, they'll be noisy the way they're supposed to be, and all the animals and all the people and all the creatures on this planet will be in their rightful place, in their rightful home, and we'll no longer be having to do what we do, and we can admire everything where it's supposed to be. So please make a gift. And I'm asking you, as a supporter of foster parrots, as a person who loves this organization, who has grown up in this organization, a gift of foster parrots is a gift of hope. And I think this is a moment in our life that we need more hope than we've ever needed. So please, if you haven't, consider donating today on behalf of the birds of foster parrots and the many, many other birds out there that need your help. So thank you for being with us.